This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We're broadcasting live from COP21, from the UN Climate Change Summit in Le Bourget, just north of Paris, France. As we turn to an interview I just did with Lord Nicholas Stern. He's the prominent British climate economist. In 2006, he published a pioneering report titled The Stern Review on Economics of Climate Change. I asked Lord Stern, 700-page report, where we stand nearly a decade later.
I think when I said that the costs of inaction are much bigger than the costs of action 9 years ago, I think one can make that statement much more strongly now. In the intervening 9 years, we've seen the science grow clearer and clearer about the risks, the intense risks of climate change. We risk rewriting the relationships between human beings and the planet. And that, I think, has become clearer and clearer. And, of course, emissions have gone on rising, so the dangers are ever more strong than they were 9 years ago. On the other hand, the costs of action, the kinds of technologies we have available, have moved very quickly, much faster than I think many of us anticipated at the time.
What are those changes in technology that you hold out hope for?
Well, I'm not holding out hope for them in the sense that I can see them. I mean, the price of a solar PV panel has come off by a factor of 10. It's 90% less than it was 10 years ago. That's remarkable change, and they're going on down. That hasn't stopped yet. So it's not just hoping for. We've seen a lot of it, and we can see a lot more coming. Same is true of wind. We've learnt much more about energy efficiency. We've got new materials that help us along the way. We've got digital methods of controlling our appliances and our cars and so on, which are much more strong than they were before. We know much more about energy storage, and there's much more coming. So I think that the changes are real because some of them are already with us, but there's so much more to come.
What do you think is the greatest threat to the planet right now?
The greatest threat to the planet right now is climate change. If we went to 3 degrees, that's the increase in average global surface temperature above the end of the 19th century. Celsius, of course. This is science. We would be at temperatures that we haven't seen on this planet for 3 million years. We would rewrite the relationships between humans and the planet. Some areas would become deserts. Probably much of southern Europe would become deserts. Other areas like Florida would be underwater. Other areas like the Gulf of Mexico and the Philippines would be hit still more strongly.
When?
Well, they're coming now. We're 1 degree now above where we were at the end of the 19th century. We're going to try to hold to 2 degrees. Some of that's going to come. And the answer to when is, well, some of it's here now, and there's lots more coming. But you're seeing extremes now. In northwest England, you saw rainfalls bigger than they've ever been before in the last week or two. Not something that's rare that becomes less rare, that we've never seen before. In southeast India, around Chennai, you saw hundreds of people die as a result of rainfalls that have never been seen before. We're seeing records all the time around the world. So some of it's with us now, but that's at 1 degree centigrade. If it went to 2 or 3, the things that we see now as very big would look small.
And the UN Climate Summit here, COP21, do you think that it will change things?
I think, and I hope, that the historians will see this as a turning point, where the countries of the world got together to change direction, to say we are now moving together towards the low-carbon economy, that this is the growth story of the future. This is the way that we can get secure growth. This is the way that we can get clean growth. And it's going to be much more attractive than what went before, and we can see all the actions that we have to take now in terms of the technologies we've got, and we can anticipate all kinds of other opportunities coming forward as we do and we learn.
But the countries are putting forward voluntary targets, not mandatory. So what would guarantee any change?
The way to get things done is that people want to do them, not because there's somebody standing around with a sledgehammer to whack them on the head if they don't. They have to see, and they do see, this as a much more attractive route. That's the way to get things done.
That's Lord Nicholas Stern, the prominent British climate economist and former chief economist of the World Bank. When we come back, I ask him about Donald Trump and his views on climate change. Stay with us. Hi, I'm Amy Goodman. I want to thank you for tuning in to Democracy Now! We are so grateful to our fans and followers for being a part of the daily conversation. By choosing a news source that's committed to the truth, you're carrying the message of independent media, reaching hundreds of thousands of people every day. In these times of war and elections, we need a media not sponsored by corporations that profit from war, but a media that's truly independent, funded by you. Democracy Now! Is not paid for by the weapons manufacturers, the insurance industry, or the oil, gas, coal, or nuclear companies. We don't take advertising or corporate underwriting dollars. That means we rely on your donations to make our daily independent news hour possible. We need your support today to keep bringing you the hard-hitting, in-depth reporting you've come to expect 5 days a week. Visit democracynow.org, or you can call 888-999-3877. That's 888-999-3877 to make your holiday gift to Democracy Now! Today. Thanks so much for sharing Democracy Now! Stories all year long.